Okay, 7th grade. This is block 1 for Math 7. And the topic we want to look on this month to have you consider as parents and as students at home is integers, addition and subtraction. This seems to be an especially challenging area for our 7th grade scholars. Alright, so what are integers? What are integers? Integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So we already know what whole numbers are. So if you think of a number line and whole numbers, right here we have 0, which is neutral. 0 is neither positive nor negative. And we can count across. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Those numbers after 0 are called positive. Right? A positive number is a whole number. A positive integer, rather. Positive integer is a whole number that is greater than 0. Alright? So, but we don't generally put the positive signs beside them because it's assumed that if the number is greater than 0, it's automatically positive. So we just write them the regular way we write numbers. The negatives, on the other hand, are numbers to the left of 0 or below 0. And we call those numbers negatives, and we write them with the dash on the left. How do we compare these numbers? Well, if you look at 0, all numbers can be compared in relation to where they are from 0. So 1, positive 1 is 1 unit to the right of 0, negative 1 is 1 unit to the left of 0. So both positive 1 and negative 1 are the same distance from 0. But negative 1 is on the left and positive 1 is on the right, etc. Alright? Okay, so how do we work with these numbers? Well, we have been using integers in everyday life, but we can think from building. So when I was in England, by the way, they do their buildings different from us. Instead of saying the first level into the basement, they would say negative 1. So negative 1 would be like basement 1. Alright, so basement level 1 is negative 1. And going down to basement level 2, that would be negative 2. And going down to basement level 3 would be negative 3. Going down to basement level 4, it's going to be negative 4. So the further you go down, the more negative you get. The further you go up, the more positive you get. So this would be first floor. Now this gets a little fishy here, right? We'd have to think of the numbers as how far we are from the neutral point, from the lobby, okay? So we are 1 floor above the lobby, or we are 2 floors above the lobby, or 3 floors above the lobby, or 4 floors above the lobby, etc. Okay, so that's how we have to think about it in terms of how far we are from the neutral space. Got it? Alright, so this has a lot of consequences. So some real life examples, bank accounts. So we all have bank accounts, and we have, if you're not rich, you might have, even rich people have this, you might have had a situation in which you sent a check in, didn't expect it to come out, your bank has overdraft protection, so they honored the check, and then next thing you notice, your bank account became negative. This is called overdrawn. And it's the same thing with integers. So if your account is overdrawn by $30, the integer that we would use to represent that situation is negative 30. Same thing we do in math class. So negative 30 means that you are 30 units below 0, or you owe the bank $30. You're $30 below having nothing. Alright? If you are at 50, if you have $50 in your account, you're $50 above having nothing. Okay, so bank accounts can tell you about integers. Now, we can also think about integers in terms of sea level. So 0 is sea level, 0 feet, sea level. 500 feet above sea level, you're going further up. 1,000 feet above sea level, 1,500 feet above sea level, and so on. 2,000 feet above sea level, and conversely, you can have 500 feet below sea level, which is negative 500. 1,000 feet below sea level, negative 1,000. 1,500 feet below sea level, negative 1,500, and 2,000 feet below sea level, which would be negative 2,000. All right, so let's just do an operation now. So if I wanted to add negative, if your account was overdrawn by $50 and my account were overdrawn by $60, right? What would happen here is that together our accounts are overdrawn by $110. So it's natural. It's like adding a regular way. So that we say that negative 50 plus negative 60 is negative 110. So this is something you could help your sixth grade scholars with. Okay. So we would say that negative 50 plus negative 60 is equal to negative 110. And again, that situation is explained by your bank account. $50 overdrawn, your $50 overdrawn, $60 overdrawn. If I add these two amount of overdrawn bank account situation, it would be that the two of us together owe our banks a total of 110. You owe your bank 50, I owe my bank $60, and together we owe banks $110. And when we owe, that's a negative integer, just like it is in real life. All right, so here's another question we could do. Subtraction is more challenging, but it can be explained in real life. So if I want to solve the problem 1,500 or 1,500. Let's 1,500 minus negative 525. So think of a person, somebody being here. Somebody is 1,500 feet above sea level. The other person is 525 feet below sea level. What does subtraction mean? Subtraction means the same thing it means in real life. It's a difference. So what's the difference between that person's position and this person's position? Well, you can think of it in steps. So this person here is 525 feet below sea level, right? So that's distance right here. This little part here is 525, right? And now this person is 1,500 feet above sea level. So together they are a total of 2,025 feet apart. Okay, so they are 2,225 feet apart. Now, how do we do that mathematically? Well, you can think of it as distance, like I say again. There's a mathematical rule, all right, that we just confirmed. If you're subtracting a negative number, it's the same as adding a positive, okay? So we can look at another situation. It works in both directions, whether you're working with two negatives or whether you're working with a positive and a negative. If, on the other hand, I'm 300 feet below sea level and you are 1,300 feet below sea level, what is the difference between our positions? All right, that would become the same issue here. Negative 300 minus negative 1,300. We already know the answer, but let's explain the integer rules behind them. We know that we are 1,000 feet apart, but how do we get that? Well, we're adding 1,300 to 300. That's basically it, using this rule. Negative becomes a positive, right? Or subtracting the negative gives us adding. So negative 300 minus negative 1,300 becomes negative 300 plus 1,300. And the best way to illustrate the meaning of this is to now go back to money. All right, so what do I have here? In the last page, I want to figure out what negative 300 plus 1,300 is, and I want to figure that out in a natural way. What's negative 300 plus 1,300? Well, I can just think about money again. So imagine my bank account is overdrawn by $300. bank account is overdrawn by $300 and I decide to deposit or add $1,300 to that situation, to my account. The bank is not going to let me have a free ride. They're going to take out their money first. So when they take out the money that I owe them, I end up at $1,000. In other words, if you start with a negative balance and you add a positive, you have to offset. So if you start off with negative 300, you have to offset that first. So you're adding 1,300 to negative 300. You have to offset this, and by the time you offset this loss, what you have left over is your answer, which is going to be 1,000. So negative 300 plus 1,300 is 1,000, and that's the whole idea behind adding and subtracting integers. All right, so I hope this was helpful. See you in October. Bye bye.